Days Gone looks good.
All right. Well, what's up, guys? We just finished watching Sony's 2017 conference. What in the world? All right. Well, what's up? Sorry, guys. Got a little feedback there from the computer. Anyways, so yeah, like I was saying, we just got back from E3's 2017 conference.
We just got back.
Just got back watching it. Just got done watching it.
We just got back from California.
It's late. It's late, man. It's only 10 o'clock, but it feels forever long because, to be honest, that was a real dragger of a conference. It wasn't really anything that I was too impressed with.
No.
There was a few moments of glory here and there, but I wasn't too in love with everything that they showed.
No, it seemed to be everything we were expecting.
Yeah, stuff we already knew about.
I mean, gameplay, which is good.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a whole, not a whole lot to write home about, you know. I mean, a lot of the newer titles that they showed, or at least that I didn't know about, didn't really impress. Like that, the Monster Hunter. Is that that's an already current IP?
That
correct?
was a new release, but it wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't something that we.
But is Monster Hunter a game already, and this is just like some kind of
this is a
sequel or something?
It looks like something. Oh, we aren't live. My bad, dude. We're previewing.
Damn it!
Well, that's okay. The intro was pretty weak, actually. Thanks, babe. Okay, now we're gonna go live. I'm gonna just restart that, actually. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, Eric. That was a rough over anyways. Try not to tap your feet too much. All right, so we're trying this again. I forgot to push go live on the old Facebook button there. So Hannah, be sure to let us know if we are live. Just give me a text, you know. But anyways, so we just got done watching E3 for Sony's press conference, and it was not great. There was a lot of stuff.
Not a lot of new stuff. Not a lot going on, even in the stuff that we knew about.
Yeah,
just kind of, which is weird because Sony usually puts on a good show, and of course the visuals were great, but yeah, overall nothing. Maybe they just didn't have enough. Maybe it was like one of those years where they didn't have enough to show.
So it was just like a scissor wheel of stuff we already knew about. I think there were maybe like 3 or 4, more than that. Like the VR stuff I had no idea about, but like really there was so many things that I already knew about that like I was expecting at least like release dates or something like that, and it wasn't even that. You know, it was just like early 2018 or no release dates at all. So yeah, if you're tuning in now, this is like our 3rd live conference. Be sure to give just BitBloggist a follow on Facebook if you want to get notified when we go live tomorrow as well for Nintendo. But today we're talking about Sony, like I said. So we're gonna kind of run through the conference just talk about some of the games they announced. And just to start off, I will say this: Sony did a great job of at least playing up the games. Like the interaction with the stage was cool. I thought so. In the beginning, they had that Middle Eastern set where the instrument players were sitting down playing instruments, and then behind them, like a giant waterfall came down and had cool light displays on the inside. So that was cool. You know, I think being there live probably feels very different than watching it on TV.
I would imagine it's like it's pretty immersive. I mean, even when they showed the front of the crowd that had a bunch of
like fog and stuff in it.
Yeah, from when I guess they did was that the God of War one, or was it before?
I think that was God of War. That sounds right.
Or no, I think it might have been the Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare World War 2. Anyway, it seemed like the spectacle of it, they were like, we have to make this look big
because we don't have much.
We don't have games. So I mean, and I just don't think they had a ton to show, which is kind of weird. I think for it to be, I mean, maybe this is just a lesser year for them or something. I don't know, but they didn't even really show. They didn't even really show some good. I just don't feel like there was any. There wasn't surprising.
There were no. I mean, we can kind of talk through these, but there were no like actual gameplay demos. There were a few, but like very very few. I think the one that's really memorable was Spider-Man.
Yeah. And well, that was the most. We did. I mean, we got to see a lot more of God of War.
Yeah,
which
that was cool.
Good.
Yeah, God of War was the big winner.
Story.
So,
but
overall, I mean, like, yeah, the presentation was great, but the execution of like what games were behind that, not the best. So, first game that we saw that came up was Horizon Zero Dawn. They're announcing some DLC called The Frozen Wilds, and again, good presentation. Snow fell from the sky. This is a beloved game, so I think this was actually a good announcement that I wasn't aware of. So that was cool to see. Unfortunately, I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet, so I don't have much to say beyond.
Yeah, I don't know.
Beyond that,
I've heard good things from Josh.
Yeah,
so
Josh Amino.
I would say that he would be interested in this, but I don't know. I just never was terribly interested in Horizon Zero Dawn, but if they continue to release good things for it, maybe I'll end up playing it. I don't know.
So then next we had Studio Ben's game, Days Gone. And this was again a good trailer. We saw a lot more of kind of what you were going to be doing on a mission basis. There was a few scenes where you were playing stealth.
They didn't have a release date, huh?
But no release date for that show.
Not even a year.
Unless I missed it. But I didn't see a release date for this. Someone in the comments can correct me if so. But this game looks really great. Again, they had live dead bodies, like live people hanging from the ceiling to mimic the scene that you walk through, and there's like a beheaded person hanging upside down in this camp. So props again to Sony for a presentation. But, again, this was a game that we already knew about and had seen, I think, last E3 and maybe the one before that.
I think it was premiered last E3. They showed you a pretty cool. I mean, visually it looked great, and that was also when they announced the Pro. So I think this is going to be one of those games that they start pushing for the Pro.
And honestly, not much talk of the PS4 Pro in this entire thing. It was PlayStation, and then VR, and then just a few more games after that, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't really know. Are they going to be making exclusives for PlayStation Pro, you think, or is it just going to be streamlined?
No, they said that
have a little bit more power, a little bit more oomph.
Yeah, they said specifically they don't want to segment their audience, so every game you get is going to be able to play on PS4 Pro or just standard PlayStation, but it is going to be graphically superior if you play on the PS4 Pro. So
that's probably why we didn't hear much about it.
Yeah, so that game looks great also.
It looks cool.
Zombie bears were the highlight of that one. Looks very stressful as far as the amount of zombies you can encounter at one point.
That's kind of because it kind of has like a what's the game I'm thinking of? The other zombie game,
Last of Us.
Yeah, it has this Last of Us vibe where it kind of feels, of course, post-apocalyptic, and it looks very similar in terms of the game style. But then, of course, the big thing that they showed us in last year was like the hordes of zombies that end up coming. So that'll be kind of the
big focus of this one.
You won't be sneaking. Well, I guess you will be sneaking around, but there'll be much more. Probably the super intense moments of all those zombies running at you, and you just kind of having to mow them down.
So again, we already saw this game, and that wasn't the most exciting thing. But next we had Monster Hunter World. Release date early 2018. This game
looked like a PlayStation 2 game.
It did not look good, and generally these games have not looked good. So by the fact that it says World, I want to think that this has a more online aspect to it.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe defining why it wasn't the best looking thing. I don't know. All we saw was just some guy sneaking around with a bunch of light emanating off him, and he had a giant sword on his back. And then he approaches a dinosaur, and
I don't know anything about this franchise, I guess. But
it's very, very big in Japan.
Okay.
It's a big deal in most places, and even in America, it's actually got a big audience behind it. And this has been a pretty dominant series just worldwide. So I think it's smart that Sony has kind of put this on their main console. I'm not generally just appealed to this kind of. I'm not into this kind of game.
Yeah, I don't really. I've never. There was nothing about that where I was like, I want to continue to read more about Monster Hunter.
I want to check out Monster Hunter World. Yeah, so we can skip that one. We can skip that one for right now. Exciting for anyone that likes those games, but for us, I was like, eh. But I will say again, Sony had flames that shot up on the stage for that.
They had
so,
flames.
so
they had the spectacle. It's kind of like they were just like putting. Well, I wouldn't say.
Let's distract them.
I wouldn't say lipstick on a pig, but it definitely was kind of like a magic show.
Let's distract them from the idea that these games really aren't that great.
Yeah.
So next was Shadow of the Colossus. That was just self-titled Shadow of the Colossus. It looks to be the exact same game. Same Colossi, or if that's how you say that. I don't know.
I don't know if that's the plural version of Colossus. I think Colossus is the plural version.
Yeah. So Colossus. There are many Colossus still in this world. That sounds better. That sounds better.
I don't know. It sounds just as wrong. I don't know. Anyway, the same monsters. It didn't look like. And now I haven't played that game in a long time, but it didn't look. It does look like a remaster, which is weird because they, like I said, it is definitely a remaster. I'm pretty sure they remastered the game though.
Yeah, they had a collection that came out on PS3. I just don't. And I could have sworn it was remastered too. So again,
maybe this is just a remaster, something where they're like, well, I can't think of the
Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian didn't hit very well.
Let's just bring out our better game.
Yeah, we need to go back to.
Looks like if you look at like the animations on the Colossus or Colossi, you'll notice. Yeah, you'll notice that like the animations actually look kind of like Trico did in the Last Guardian, where it was like, the feather physics and like hair physics were kind of similar. There was like dirt falling off of the Colossi as they were moving. So this is cool, and I actually probably will pick this up because, to be honest, I haven't played
it in a long time.
I played half of it and never got through it all the way.
Oh no!
I played, I tried playing it on. I tried playing it on PlayStation Now or whatever their streaming service is. I just didn't like how bad the lag was and stuff.
It is really. I mean, I remember picking it back up on PlayStation a few years ago, and like on PlayStation 2,
the camera controls and stuff,
and it just was. Like it was such great game, but it was very dated, and I think it still carries over. But this is great. I don't know if it's great for E3, but it's great that they're remastering it and will be re-releasing it with new visuals and probably maybe a different storyline or
I hope they do something different,
something like that. But
because when I saw Japan Studio on there, I was like, that's the Last Guardian people. I was like, I had no idea they were working on another game, and
that would have been pretty cool if they had a new game to add on to it. But
sure enough, it's just another remastered version of their older game. So
I think we're going to hear more about that, though, as it not being an official remaster. I think it's going to be a new game in some way. Just
I hope so.
With the skin of Shadow.
Skins. So next, another game that we already knew about or had already kind of seen, Marvel vs. Capcom. Got a release date, though, so September 19th. This looks ridiculous, like just the amount of characters that are involved in this, and that they tried making like a meshed storyline where Thanos comes out and helps them, I guess, defeat Megatron. Was that Megatron at the end? Okay,
not
or
Megatron,
Ultron.
Not Megatron.
Sorry, Megatron. That would have been even better.
They should add Transformers into it. It'd be Capcom, Marvel versus Transformers. Yeah.
And I don't think it would lose that much merit, honestly, because they tried making a story out of this and it just looks ridiculous. I'm sure any Marvel fans or Capcom fans out there are really excited about this because this is a very good game, and I get a very good series at least, and so I know that this has a fan base. But again, this is one that I just saw and I was like, this looks bad.
Yeah, I mean it's not a game I've ever cared about. I've never cared about.
I've never been good at fighting games, so unfortunately, we're not the best two to talk about this one.
I mean, it looks cool.
But it looks neat.
It's cool to combine two worlds, I guess. I mean, it sells. It continues building on all those
earlier today
games. But
Ubisoft did the Mario and Rabbids crossover, and I was like really skeptical of that, and I think it looks awesome. I'm really excited about that. So I think, honestly, that's also what's kind of unfortunate about Sony's conference is that I came off of Ubisoft, which was really great. Like, they had a lot of just quality content to show.
I saw a little bit of it while I was at work, but I didn't get the whole thing.
I was in and out of it at work too, but like it was a good, efficient use of time and like everything I hadn't really seen yet. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is good to see. That was not the case with PlayStation today, unfortunately. So Call of Duty World War II. Again, we knew about this game, obviously. November 3rd release date. I'm pretty sure that was already also
I mean, everybody, I think, knew, because it's always a yearly thing.
Yeah,
so
it's annualized.
Yeah, it's always kind of...
looks good, though. This game does look good. It's got, it looks like you kind of bounce through different stories of World War II. I saw him on the water at one point. I saw some, some plane combat, stuff like that. Going through trench warfare again. So I think this will be a great game. And, I made this comment during the show, but it's odd that PlayStation now has these major, like, these major, just gigantic IP, or not IP, but just properties now under their belt. Yeah. Whereas I think last generation Microsoft had control of, Call of Duty. So it's interesting just to see them pumping out all of this fanfare for Call of Duty when that's not really ever been a PlayStation. Well, I guess it has been ever since PlayStation 4 has been successful, but I think it started with Black Ops 3.
I'm not sure when they obtained the rights to it, but I think it happened along with PlayStation 4.
Activision goes wherever the money is, basically.
Well,
they're like,
sure.
Oh, okay, that's selling the best. Let's go to them now.
Infinity Ward too, I guess. I'm not sure how that dynamic still works, because they always go back and forth. It's always like because Black Ops is Infinity Ward. I'm pretty sure.
And then it's Treyarch.
Or is it Treyarch?
Activision.
Is it Treyarch and Activision?
I don't even know anymore.
Infinity Ward, I know there's getting mixed up with Treyarch.
I know there's 3 developers.
Oh, okay.
That interchange the Call of Duty title, so that way they have at least 2 or 3 years to develop a new game.
It's always I've played Call of Duty World War II games before, so it's kind of, or maybe I haven't. I don't know, but I feel like I have.
No, we have.
So
War to War.
We'll see if it's any better or worth. I'm sure people will play it, and I'm sure it'll be good. But
I think the campaign looks cool, and what's selling me on this is that it is a grounded shooter. It's not space shooters, which I think we've been stuck in for a while. So I'm glad that they are at least branching away from that just thing we've been stuck in for so long. So
I can't tell though if it's a reaction to Battlefield 1, or if maybe it was just that time where like people started talking and they're just releasing a little bit later, hoping that they can catch the people that are leaving Battlefield 1.
They had to have like been developing this game already, because
for sure, yeah.
Again, it's like it's a 2-year or 3-year development cycle for every single developer that works on Call of Duty. So I mean, they probably started developing at the same time that Battlefield did, but it is kind of inconvenient, or just kind of stinks that Battlefield 1's already come out, and we've already started seeing this like this harken back to these older shooters. So it's like, well, it's already been kind of done, and it's kind of like how I was talking about zombies earlier, where like I'm kind of sick of zombie games because we've seen so many of those. So I think they can sneak this one in. It'll be good. Call of Duty's always been the best at first-person shooters as far as like a gameplay perspective. So if they can make a compelling story, and I know the online will be good. So
yeah.
I'm excited for this. I think this will be a cool one. It might be the first Call of Duty I pick up in a long time, because I really haven't been a Call of Duty guy or a shooter guy.
I played. Gosh, I forget the last one.
Advanced Warfare.
Maybe it was a few. It was 2. A few years ago. I think it was Black Ops, because I ended up playing the demo and really liked it. But I played basically only online, and then dropped it after a while because it got pretty repetitive.
And because you and I probably can't keep up with the user base that is on there now.
It's very quick.
We're not good enough to.
Which maybe will be a good thing for the World War II version, because
slow it down a little bit.
You won't have jetpacks and all that kind of stuff.
That'll be the part that I like. So,
or maybe they will add jetpacks. You never know.
Alternate history. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
So the next one, which I actually appreciate, they talked about PSVR. So we saw a lot of games just in congruence with that. And honestly, this was also a very underwhelming segment of their show. I'm glad they did this, but at the same time, it was a I don't have PSVR. And I think there's many people out there that still don't. And it's hard to sell VR on stage. It's hard to be like, look at this cool thing you can do in this game.
It's so much about the experience. So
it looks super goofy. So we can run through these real fast. That's Skyrim VR, which is a big deal. It's like, we had Fallout VR just announced earlier with Bethesda's conference. So that's, it's cool that they're making these big, popular, massive RPGs.
Did Bethesda already happen? Did they announce a new game?
Gosh, you're asking me the tough questions. From what I remember, there wasn't much. They announced like a few mobile games, or maybe that was with Ubisoft. Yeah, I'm thinking Ubisoft. Come back to me on that one.
Anyway,
come back to me. Wolfenstein 2 was like one of their big ones.
Okay.
That was a new game.
Well, that sucks. I was hoping. I thought it came later. Anyway.
Bethesda wasn't too wild. So Skyrim got a VR treatment, and it looks really goofy with like the way you shoot arrows. Like if you notice, like when they were like angling the arrows, it like was like super sideways. I was like, that looks terrible.
I just don't care about VR at all, really. I mean, it seems it's one of those. I think it's going to, and I really hate. It makes sense, Sony as a company, to do something like this, but I just hate that they even invested. It feels a lot like it's like don't worry about the train of VR. Don't buy into that. But
they have to. Maybe, they have to because
they don't have to.
VR's only been on the PlayStation platform for I guess a year and a half now, maybe.
Yeah, I think since last E3.
And they cannot give it up this early because they're going to burn so many people that buy.
Well, no, I'm not saying give up on it. They need to. They've put the money into it. I'm saying they never should have gotten into VR.
Oh, okay.
Like
in retrospect,
yes,
they should not have gotten into VR.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did, because if they weren't trying something new, then they wouldn't be trying something new. You know, I think
just give me good games though. Give me good games. That's all I want. I don't want VR.
Oh,
I won't ever. I won't ever play VR. I know I won't.
Well, PS4.
I might play it, but I will never buy it.
Yeah.
And
unless there's something out there that really sells it, but unfortunately,
I don't know.
Everything they showed today,
I can't even think of anything
did not
that
sell
would be that much fun.
I've heard Resident Evil 7 VR is actually like a very, very good experience, but that just sounds awful to me because I don't like being scared.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that immersed.
The fact that I can't take the goggles off just stresses me out. So, Skyrim VR, Starchild, which was like this weird 2D animation little thing. It was a very, very short just clip, and it looked like she like obtained some sort of mech. And it was like a 2D side scroller for a second, and then she hopped into this big mech when a bug almost attacked her, which
I'm not really sure even.
It was very underwhelming.
I wonder if the game is meant to be from the perspective, like maybe you get inside, or maybe it's all side scroll. That would seem stupid, but
who knows? The next one actually did look good though, The Inpatient, and this was a like spooky, again, first-person experience. I think that's where they're going to find most of their success is honestly scary games, unfortunately.
I mean, anything that's first person and is not heavily based on combat or anything. You know, we'll talk about the puzzle
any
game
Twitch motion stuff is not good for
anything
VR.
Where you're probably just like opening drawers and maybe turning quickly and having major animations kind of forced upon you, I think is going to be probably the way that VR peaks.
I agree.
But
we're not going to see like these crazy fast action games like we have because people have literally like gotten sick and like throwing up from like
you're not going to see
sickness.
Call of Duty. I mean, they might make it, but
eventually
it would not be smart to make like Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
It would be a nightmare.
I keep calling it Modern Warfare. It's
not
World
War II. World War II. It's late. It's late. It's 10:30. So The Inpatient looks like a first-person spooky game. Looks actually very good. A lot of like it was like a weird mix of like faceless people that were interacting with you, and then like a real doctor talking to you. So it looks like very trippy and kind of, you know, it's got more of a psychological kind of mind play going on there. So the next one, which was probably the highlight of the show, but for how terrible it looked, was Monster of the Deep, Final Fantasy.
Zero applause.
Literally.
There was no spectacle to make up for it. It just
the crowd was so dead. They were just like literally sitting there after they saw this, and they're like, what the shit was that?
But it literally was. It was one of those games that you go to the arcade to play. The fishing game that you go to the arcade to play, but they put a Final Fantasy skin on it. Which is
and it looks as
ridiculous.
Bad. It looks as bad as the ones you find in the arcade. Like
worse.
Graphically, it looks
worse.
awful. Like it's just like you're again like, you know, VR fishing pole like flopping around in the water and you're pulling out these monsters. Like it
I don't even. I feel like
this
that's
had
an insult to Final Fantasy, but
and an insult to anybody that bought a VR headset. It's
well,
like,
that too,
hey, here we blessed you with this fantastic fishing experience in Final Fantasy.
Are they releasing, as far as you know, are they releasing those games full price, like $70?
No,
or are they like 20, 30, that kind of thing?
So the good thing about all of these VR games is that they are priced differently on the experience that you're paying for. So it's up to the developer still, but I hope I hope when this game releases, which again,
the Final Fantasy
yeah, it's like outrageously expensive.
They're like, you get to fish and see all the main characters, but
$70.
That's it.
So this I imagine will be a cheaper game. But this was one of the worst demos I've ever seen. And then we had Bravo Team, which was like a VR first-person action shooter, which is good. Sony just released their light gun, which does look very cool for Farpoint. And people have said Farpoint's very good as far as just a first-person VR experience. That's like a shooter, actually. So hopefully this incorporates that. Again, not graphically the most impressive game, and as far as like storyline, looks very vanilla, like helicopters and you're hiding behind stuff and shooting at things.
It's war. I mean, it's about it. You probably have a small storyline of a mission or a couple of missions, and then
about it.
Yeah.
And the last one, which actually looked probably the best for the VR experience, was this game called Moss. No release date for that either. And it's basically you have this little mouse buddy who's sneaking around this weird place that has a bunch of puzzles that you have to help him with. You're like some sentient godly being above him or around him that's helping him maneuver these things. So there's like a specific scene where you're looking down over the water and you can actually see your person's like mask, I guess.
It had I feel like I've seen that design before on a mask, and I thought it was Journey-esque, but I don't think that's
Journey.
The game
You're thinking of Spirited Away.
That's what it is.
The animated little white mask,
that's what I think it is.
So it looks neat. The music was really actually good for this game, at least for the trailer. But again, this looks like the
music was good
piece, just a small piece of what this game's going to be. And again, it's a VR experience, so who knows how long it's going to be. Also, it's going to be potentially underwhelming. So that was the VR segment. Know. That was the VR segment. I don't think any of us is ever going to purchase a PSVR until something out there sells us on this. But then we get back to the games, and they go again full PlayStation on this, where they have a water element that kind of washes over the crowd, and you can see it like on the walls, and there's lights coming down on people, and then God of War splashes on the screen. And this was actually a very good trailer. This is probably the second best thing that we saw, honestly, in this entire thing. Again, the visuals look great in this. We got a release date, early 2018. Good story, good music, and at the very end, you see that you're being helped by a giant water snake, the world serpent, as his son so calls it.
I'm wondering. I don't think I ever played through. I know I played God of War 2 a little bit. I never played God of War 1.
Yeah, I was never a big God of War guy.
And I'm curious as to really just the storyline in general. I know that
we basically sound like non-PlayStation.
Yeah, we've never played
fanboys ever. Yeah, I don't like VR. I don't like these fighting games. I don't like God of War.
The original things. But I do think. I think this looks great, and I did when I played God of War 2 that I enjoyed it. I'm not sure why I gave up on it, but
it's God of War games generally haven't been very deep as far as like storyline. It's kind of cool. It's like, okay, you're Kratos, you get banned, and then you're pissed at everyone.
Your journey
is just mad the whole
time. Kill everybody. But this looks like it has some bigger things. You have
taking care of your son, yeah,
and calls him boy.
Yeah. So I think this is actually one of the better. I know this is one of the better showcases for the Sony press conference, just in terms of what they had to show us. We saw some action. Again, I don't think I saw any HUD or any like UI stuff. So it was still very much like a cinematic doctored gameplay reveal, but it was that we saw some gameplay of like what action and combat looks like.
Yeah.
It looks very clean and like very animated. Like when he threw his shield back and you saw it kind of spin out, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you'll have those like slow-mo moments.
I imagine you will. That was kind of a staple of like the previous series. So the previous ones in the series. So I think this will be good. But again, we already knew about this game as well. So then the next one that we also knew about was Detroit Become Human.
I didn't know about this game. That was a surprise for me, but I haven't done a ton of research. But...
Yeah. So this had a big trailer actually. It was a long cinematic trailer. Again, it was no real gameplay in this. It was more or less just a big cutscene, a big CGI animated scene where you meet the main character and we saw him just make the decisions of how he wanted to do stuff, which is a big part of this game apparently. Being able to decide like how you want to do stuff affects things later in the game.
A lot of different storylines, a lot of branches,
story arcs. So this looks pretty cool too. Again, I don't think we saw a release date for this. I'm gonna keep
an eye on it because it was interesting enough. It has elements that I've liked in other games, like we talked about.
Yeah, they kind of mishmashed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a Heavy Rain.
Meets
The Division and Watch Dogs. It's kind of like a combo of all three.
Yes, so. that is a perfect assumption.
And all three of those games that I've liked a little bit, like more or less,
but not that much.
So maybe this is the one where they combine them all together and it's the perfect game.
The perfect game.
Yeah.
So no release date for that either, but it did look good at least. That was the upside of that one. It's like, this looks cool. Next was Destiny 2. Again, Sony had a big stage presence where they dropped a whole bunch of banners down, like the whole stage turned red, and then you see the main antagonist in this new sequel, where basically he just kicks a guardian off the edge of this thing. Story looks compelling. I know you weren't a big Destiny guy. I was for a little while when the PlayStation first came out.
Never bought it.
And I know a lot of people are very excited about this because they had a huge Destiny presser about a month ago where they just gave out all the details of what was changing in it, what they were adding in terms of just user interface and stuff like about weapons and leveling up and all that kinds of stuff. So again, this is something we already knew about, but what was, I guess, notable was that they had exclusives to PlayStation, because this is like a PlayStation marketed game. It's not exclusive. So you'll get exclusive strikes, which is a big deal, I guess. You'll get one strike that's exclusive to PlayStation.
I didn't even know what that meant.
It's basically just a mission.
Right.
Right. And then a ship, and I think there was one other thing. But honestly, this was, I think it was probably a weapon. I imagine it was weapons and armor is what it was. Yeah, skins. So that was okay. Last two things. Well, really, the last thing was a Spider-Man closeout, where they had a super long demo with a HUD and what appeared to be close to actual gameplay. Again, this was a doctored gameplay reveal where everything was very choreographed. I love the gameplay reveals where you see the person mess up, or you see them clip through the stage or something.
Yeah, that's one thing that we haven't seen, or at least I haven't seen yet, is anybody doing a live demo where you're watching, where they bring out somebody. I think they have learned not to do this.
Let's just avoid that, because there's so much that interferes with the controllers usually. They did it for EA when Microsoft when they had the Forza. They had two professional drivers.
I didn't see the
Microsoft professional drivers come out and race against each other. It wasn't the most impressive thing ever. Yeah. But this was I think the only actual gameplay that we saw in the entire conference.
The Spider-Man,
I
would say finished or close to
recorded gameplay.
Yeah.
But again, it didn't have a 2018 early 2018 or late 2018. It just said 2018. So that leads me to believe, again, this is a game that's probably coming out.
It could be bumped to 2019
at the very, very end, if not 2019.
Yeah.
But it looked very good. They had a lot of in the intro. In this one, they had a weird screen that slid out from the side of the stage.
I'm not sure why they did that.
That wasn't really very cool. I was like, okay, the screen. There's another one, I guess. But the stealth mechanics look really cool, where you're snatching up guys, sticking them to stuff.
A lot of the animation was really solid. Even when they were showing it on the screen again, I didn't even notice the water looked great. The lighting looked great. I'm not a fan of the suit he has. I don't like the white elements to it.
Wait, a Spider-Man suit.
Spider-Man suit. Yeah, I'm just not I don't like the visuals of that. But everything else looked great, and
I hope they have different skins you can wear.
I would imagine
suits.
so.
That'd be cool.
But I'm hoping that, of course, it's accessible. There was a lot going on and a lot of different type of like grappling styles that you could do, or grappling animations, and then so it seems very fast paced, which is fun. And I haven't played a Spider-Man game in forever.
Yeah,
but it looks great.
It looks good.
It looked great.
It looks really good. And you
get to play as Miles Morales.
And the big part about this is that that was the scissor reel closeout. There was a big scissor reel with all the stuff that they showed, and then at the very, very end, they were running away from the scene that had just happened in the demo that you saw. And there's a guy, with his smartphone out taking a picture of something, and then he turns around and it's Miles Morales.
Right? So I
believe the guy, his friend says, "Come on, Miles," and then they run off.
Which I think is the first time, and I could be wrong about this, but I think it's the first time Miles Morales as a character has ever
played Spider-Man,
been made into a video game.
Yeah,
or visually shown outside of comic books.
I would venture to say that's probably true.
He's probably been in he's probably been in cartoons, but
but not in the video game. So this is cool, and also it should be noted that Fisk was in this from like the Daredevil series and stuff like that. And he's obviously from Spider-Man 2, but it was cool seeing him. And there's like some weird. What'd you think of like the demons and like the whole weird blue black?
I don't know
powers they had.
I don't know what that is. That must come from somewhere, some kind of source material. It's
going to be explained.
But it's funny because it allows for the faceless bad guys, which we're so accustomed to now in all these massive fighting games, kind of open world.
Easy
games.
Animation fix.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about their faces.
But I think I don't know. I mean, cool. If the story's good and the gameplay's good, I mean, the
gameplay looks great.
It looks solid. I just hope it functions really well.
I love like the swinging around the city and like.
There's a lot of cool
quick time
technology.
Events.
It looks like they've added a lot more kind of bigger technology style. Like the last one I remember playing, the last Spider-Man game, you really were pretty limited to just web and maybe some interactivity with the world, but this is like major.
I'm hoping this is super open.
Yeah.
And not like limited to like just narrow places that you have to kind of run. It looks like you can kind of go wherever you want to, because he was like
interact with
swinging into like a building on accident, like running along it and doing some weird cut arounds. So this game looks great, but we've already kind of known it was going to be great from the get-go. So that's all we know on that. No, again, just 2018. Not sure when that's coming out. But all in all, that's it. That was the entire Sony conference. So, I guess if you had to give this a score,
1 out of 10?
Out of 10, how would you rate this?
5, just right in the middle.
I'm right there with you.
I wasn't. I mean, it's not like they.
I'm a 6, but it was not good.
But really, like, it was the main announcer as far as I know. They didn't bring out any game.
Sean Layden.
Any game developers coming out and talking about the games.
No one was talking.
It was just quick, and it was kind of just quick and dirty.
Here's the stuff that we have.
Yeah, here's
that you already knew about.
Game back to back to back to back, and then the guy comes out. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it? And people were like, "Yeah, show us more games."
Kind of exciting.
And then no new announcements. I mean, that's kind of the big.
That was the big bummer of this entire conference. There was nothing that surprised me. I was just like, oh.
E3 seems to be that way right now, though. Not a ton of.
I will say,
not a ton of stuff.
Microsoft's conference was very good, and even Ubisoft was very, very good. Bethesda was pretty weak, and EA actually had a pretty strong start with Battlefront 2.
That's true,
and all the stuff they could show with that.
Battlefront 2 was a pretty big. I mean, we knew it was coming, but it was a big surprise in terms of being able to see so much.
What they actually had available to play already. I was like, dang, this is incredible. I didn't know they have it this far along. So yeah, I mean, this was pretty weak, and it hurts me to say that. I was really excited about Sony to see kind of what they had, because they've been killing it for so long.
Yeah, for the last couple of years, they've done a really good job. Ever since the PlayStation 4 came out, or ever since they really announced PlayStation 4, it seems like they've always been able to build.
You're good.
Build each E3, and yeah, this one maybe they were just kind of like, we ran out of stuff.
Yeah, do you think like they're at a point now where like they're at the top, and like I wouldn't say they're being forgetful, because they've been here. They've been here before with the PlayStation 2, where they were just dominating.
Yeah.
And then they lost it with the PS3. They were like, oh, that was a terrible, terrible choice. Yep. And they slowly regained their ground, and then now they're at PS4 with monumental sales and just so much success behind the console. But they're at a place now where like, yeah, it seems like they just they've already announced everything either to us, and they're just being more open about that kind of stuff because they have PlayStation Experience where that happens every single year more in the wintertime, and they talk about more games that are coming out specifically for PlayStation. Right. And so hopefully, you know, maybe they've tucked away some surprises for us at that conference.
Let's hope so.
But
I mean, we didn't even hear anything about like system updates or any nothing.
Yeah, nothing about price drops.
Nothing about I mean, it's just kind of weird. Just a weird, bland,
dry.
I mean, just nothing. Like there wasn't anything exciting. It was just kind of like, here's games that you already know. Anyway, we're being
negative now.
Super repetitive.
I'm sure this was a lot of work. So regardless, if you did watch this, thank you so much for tuning in. Eric, thank you so much for being here, man.
For sure.
Staying late and doing this with me. As dry as it was, unfortunately.
Super dry. I need some water.
But we will be back tomorrow. Matt Intim and I will be covering Nintendo, which I'm really excited about, but also nervous because they only have 30 minutes of like conference. That's it. 30 minutes.
They're gonna be like, here's some downloads for Breath of the Wild.
Here's a few cool
Go crazy.
DLC things you guys can do. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Their conference goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Matt and I will hopefully be doing a video reaction video just like this right after that at lunch. So we're going to go home and do it, or after work hours. So that'll be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you liked this, please go ahead and give us a good old follow or a like on the video. Until next time, this has been BitBloggist. Thanks for tuning in. Talk about some stuff. Not to do a weird fade out.